There's some really cool new science that's showing we may want to eat more protein when we're doing a ketogenic diet and more protein after intermittent fasting. Okay, we're going to break it all down, but it all has to do with gluconeogenesis, where we kind of have to eat our own words from a while ago and start to understand what's really driving gluconeogenesis. So this video is going to cover what gluconeogenesis is in a kind of a basic form, and then I'm going to cover what drives gluconeogenesis, and then I'm going to cover why increasing your protein intake might support your fast a little bit better and also support a ketogenic diet. I'm kind of lumping them together. It doesn't mean that you have to be doing keto. It just means that a lot of people that do intermittent fasting also do keto. Hey, before we dive into all this science, I do ask politely that you hit that red subscribe button and then please do hit that bell icon. That way you can turn on all the notifications. And then every time we post a video, you'll get a little notification and you can watch our daily videos. Okay, so first off, what is gluconeogenesis? Now I know it sounds super complicated, but gluconeogenesis is simply where your body breaks down specific compounds like proteins and fats and even lactate to create glucose. So when you're fasting, your body needs glucose. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but your body needs glucose because your brain still runs on glucose. And the same thing applies when you're doing a ketogenic diet. You still have demand for glucose. So it's nothing to be ashamed of, it's just a natural process. The hard part is that we used to think that if we had too much protein, it would get converted into sugar and it would cause a problem. It would kick us out of keto, or it would cause negative effects after fasting. Well, there's some new science, literally January 2020 science, that demonstrates that gluconeogenesis, this whole process, is actually running off of fat, not off of protein, at least predominantly. So let's first start on the fasting side of things. Okay, so this study that was published in Molecular Metabolism had to do with fasting. Okay, so we used to think that when we would go into a fast, our body would start to break down protein tissue in order to create glucose. It was kind of a necessary evil that we'd take with fasting because we get so many benefits from fasting. It's like, okay, if we break down a little muscle, it's no big deal because we'll make up for it during our eating period. Well, it turns out that gluconeogenesis is actually derived from a portion of fat. Yeah, right? So basically what happens is when your body starts breaking down fat, it separates what are called free fatty acids from what is called a glycerol backbone. Well, that glycerol is not just waste. It doesn't just float through the bloodstream and then get excreted. That glycerol backbone actually supports gluconeogenesis instead of protein. So during a fast, it's now shown that gluconeogenesis is largely driven by fat metabolism, by glycerol, not by protein breakdown or lactate. So for you science nerds, you know what I'm talking about, but in very basic terminology, it means that whenever we start burning some fat, we liberate this glycerol backbone that then allows us to create glucose. So the more glucose demand that we have, the more potential fat that we burn. But what does this have to do with protein, and why should you eat more protein? Well, it just means that after you break your fast, you could have a large amount of protein and it's not going to kick you out of the ketogenic benefits of a fast, right? It's not going to stop that process. In fact, one could argue that after a fast, you have a good degree of breakdown that occurs where you would need the extra protein to support that positive nitrogen balance. I've actually done other videos where I say you probably should have twice the amount of protein you would normally have after a fast than you would on a normal day because your body is just glomming for it and it needs that. But let's jump over to the ketogenic side for just a second. We used to avoid having large amounts of protein because we were concerned that it would kick us out of ketosis. But it doesn't seem to work that way, at least as far as this evidence is concerned with fasting, which should directly apply over to the ketogenic diet as well. So more protein is actually going to support this process by allowing more fatty acids to be available for gluconeogenesis. My recommendation for protein, by the way, would be ButcherBox. If you want to check them out down below in the description. They're an online meat delivery service, so super awesome. They have really good quality, grass-fed, grass-finished meat. It's what I use all the time, and there's special pricing for those of you that watch my channel and those of you that watch my videos. So go ahead and check them out down below in the description. You won't be disappointed. I use them instead of the grocery store because honestly, it saves me the time, saves me the money of having to go to the grocery store, and it's just super convenient and very high quality. They're also a big supporter of this channel, so I extend a huge thank you to ButcherBox. And honestly, if you want to support my channel and support me and my team, the best way you can do that is by supporting our sponsors. So ButcherBox down below in the description to get what I would say is the highest quality meat, especially for this kind of situation. I want to dive a little bit more into what's happening as far as fat loss is concerned too, because one could say that when you have this gluconeogenesis process occurring, you are actually encouraging your body to burn more fat. There's some studies that show that as you get deeper into a fast, you start to have increases in gluconeogenesis activity. That makes sense because as you get deeper into a fast, your body still has a stronger demand for glucose and your brain still needs a lot of glucose. But what's going on here? Why does that allow us to burn more fat? Well, think about it like this. As your glucose demand goes up, so would your gluconeogenesis demand. Well, if your gluconeogenesis demand goes up, and it's largely driven by that glycerol backbone, then yeah, it makes sense that it's going to upregulate lipolysis. So it's going to potentially increase more hormone-sensitive lipase for more fat breakdown, for more gluconeogenesis. That's somewhat of a hypothesis based on a lot of the different research, but for the most part, it makes a lot of sense that that would be kind of the order of events. As there's a demand, the body's going to do what it can to supply that demand. In that case, increasing hormone-sensitive lipase, increasing fatty acid oxidation so that there can be more of this fatty acid backbone contributing to gluconeogenesis. So the more gluconeogenesis we have, the more need for fat burning we have, and it kind of steamrolls a little bit. So potentially the longer the fast, the more fat that we're burning as well. And then it kind of comes full circle though. The longer the fast that you're doing, the more that you probably need to increase your protein intake. So the point here with this entire video is protein is not the problem. If anything, it's a lack of protein that's the problem, putting you in that negative nitrogen balance. So whether you get it from a meat source or a plant source, do not skimp on the protein. It seems to be the glue that's kind of holding this process together so that these other mechanisms like, glycerol-based gluconeogenesis can occur to allow us to burn fat and, well, keep our blood glucose levels stable during a fast and during a ketogenic diet. So as always, keep it locked in here on my channel, and I'll see you tomorrow.